What is the weirdest thing people get offended by?
Someone just doing their job. No, you can't use that coupon that's been expired since 1971. I can't believe how rude that cashier was.
Worked in a clothing store that would send $10 off $25 coupons occasionally. For obvious reasons, you can only use them once, so we were told to rip them up and throw them away after scanning them. The anger that would fill the old ladies' faces when I ripped that coupon in half and threw it in the garbage after scanning it was scary. Once, a customer angrily demanded that I give her the coupon back so she could use it again, so I scribbled on it with a black Sharpie and gave it to her with a "Have a nice day." I really shouldn't be in customer service.
I once had a lady get upset when my coworker threw a used coupon into the garbage behind her register. The lady leaned over to watch her do it, then pointed it out to me, telling me to get the coupon out so she could use it. Lady, not only does this store practically shower coupons on you like confetti through mailers, in-store flyers, and a website that almost always has a scannable coupon, but we even accept competitors' coupons. It would take almost nothing for you to find a discount on your phone. No, I'm not digging in the trash for you.
This pandemic has given me power to say no to people, and it's so nice. Nope, sorry dude, you either wear a mask or you can't eat here. Grown-ass man made the 18-year-old seater/host girl cry and threw his silverware at her today. Only thing that helps me cope is pity for the individuals behaving in such a way. Something is making their life shit and them a shit person. Maybe one day. Edit for everyone who's being smart, or I'm going to preferably assume you're just genuinely curious. You take the mask off at the table to eat and is only required for walking about the restaurant, to the restroom, to leave. Kinda defeats the whole purpose, and it's why I'm against indoor dining being allowed right now, or indoor anything really. But hey, my government is 7 ways fucked till Sunday, and there's not a lot I can do about it without becoming financially destitute. Yay America.
Reminds me of a time I worked for a hotel, where we had a customer is always right policy until they realize people will bitch and moan until we broke down and decide to give them the room for free. The policy went from customer is always right to how can we make it right. I think you invalidating the coupons is a good move on your part, because it should never resort to the customer is always right even when they're wrong.
Memories of working at a store that had that, along with no-win outcomes from management. I'm sorry sir, that batteries can only be prorated at this point. You'll be able to get $23 off a new one but not a full replacement. Customer throws fit, manager arrives, gives full replacement. Manager, why did I need to be called back here? You should know when to give leeway to keep a customer happy. I'm sorry sir, this battery is just out of full warranty. It's able to be prorated to take $80 off of the new one. Customer throws fit, I override policy for full replacement. Manager, why are you giving away items just because a customer doesn't agree with our policy? This is why profits are down and there won't be bonuses this quarter.
I had to deal with that. Ladies getting angry at me for not letting them use coupons that aren't active until the next day. They would say, well, they let me use it last time. Or something else I can't do, and they always say that last time we could do it.
Every single retailer has encountered this person. Which shows that there are just so many of them. Once had a lady get annoyed that my store, in Canada, didn't offer free gift wrapping at Christmas. I told her there was a place in the mall that did that, and the cost went to charity. She said, well, all the stores in Germany offer free gift wrapping. I swear. What am I supposed to say to that?
It's like when your parents used to ask you to do chores, but it isn't like you have the option to say no.
My girlfriend had a friend that constantly demanded favors of her. I say friend because it was a classic one-sided relationship. Her friend was quite mentally ill, but she used it as an excuse for her poor behavior. My girlfriend had known her for a very long time, so didn't want to seem rude by cutting the friendship off. What I noticed about her friend is that her friends weren't really her friends, they were more like minions or yes people, a bit like Crabbe and Goyle in Harry Potter. She didn't have genuine close friendships as most people do. She only hung out with them because they did stuff for her. She didn't like friends that rocked the boat, in other words, that didn't obey every word she said. Once my girlfriend started standing up for herself, this friend started to say you're no longer cool. And just kept on calling my girlfriend rude names. My girlfriend didn't give in though. By then she had seen that her friend was just trying to manipulate her. Eventually, her friend just found another yes person.
Kudos to your girlfriend for being able to say no. A lot of people are like this, unfortunately. I have known a few people like this in my lifetime, and they're absolutely draining. They think that loyalty equals obedience, and if you don't comply with what they want or if your needs don't align with theirs, then you're a bad friend and unreliable, disloyal, etc. I have family members whom I've said yes to all my life, and only recently I've begun to say no and distance myself while setting boundaries. One of them blocked me for it. I gotta say, I love the freedom of kicking this kind of people out of your life.
People will always be upset when you prevent yourself from being used or abused by them. People who aren't looking to cross your boundaries have no problem with them.
Others' tastes and interests. Music, video games, movies, etc.
Have a friend, and his wife, who are like that. They pretty much have the attitude of you have to like, and also not like, the same TV shows, music, movies, hobbies as we do, or else we're going to give you the third degree. They're both super into the comic book movies. I'm not. Not saying they're bad, just not my thing. What? How can you not like them? They're so good. You have to watch them. You don't have any taste.
When you say no to what they asked from you.
Asking was a formality, they were telling.
It's like when your parents used to ask you to do chores, but it isn't like you have the option to say no.
Passing them in traffic.
I recently got a car with cruise control and I was able to test a theory I always had. Do people actually go faster when I pass them, or do I unconsciously slow down? Now if I think someone is speeding up, I put on CC and keep the speed constant and watch people sail past me like their family's honor is on the line.
People also drive proportional to the perceived sportiness of the vehicle. Slowly pass someone in a 90 Camry. Maybe they'll speed up, maybe they won't care. Slowly pass someone in a bright red Corvette. You become magnetic and everyone you pass will either pace you or try to pass you.
Driving a Prius in Oklahoma was a nightmare. I drive pretty fast and guys with big ass trucks would use half a tank of gas trying to keep up, then be ridiculously aggressive about cutting in front of me. I get it, buddy, you got your first job in the oil industry and immediately spent $50,000 on a truck worth $35,000 with a 24% interest rate. We're all in awe of you and your powerful, lifted truck lol.
People also drive proportional to the perceived sportiness of the vehicle. This is so unbelievably true. I recently bought a bright blue Subaru WRX, mainly because they have a really good safety rating and I am thinking about starting a family sooner than later, so I wanted a sedan. Holy shit, do people ever want to race me? I honestly can't stop at a stoplight light without someone peeling their tires beside me and flooring it when it goes green.
Asking people what they think, then getting upset when people tell them what they think.
My dad used to always do this. I even started telling him that I didn't want to get into it because he always got upset, and he'd swear he wouldn't this time and insist. Then it would always end up with him becoming upset. Every time.
Asking to be paid back. I lend you money, then suddenly I'm the asshole when I ask for it back.
Then they say okay, I'll send 100,000 a month and then never do it. And still have the balls to interact with you on social media as if nothing ever happened. Isk.
When you get someone's dog's gender wrong. Everyone keeps calling my black lab mixer boy good boy. Hey buddy. I don't care, but when I got a little fluffy white dog named Tinkles wrong at the park, a lady bit my head off. Tinkles is a boy, alright chill.
Lol, people always assume my cat is a female because he's so pretty and it doesn't bother me in the least. It really does not matter.
My ex had a cat named Sophie. One day, Sophie suddenly had testicles. Well, she kept calling him Sophie and I'm pretty sure the cat didn't care.
The cat didn't care could apply to the vast majority of situations. My Siamese is a boy and because of how pretty he looks, people call him a girl. I think it's quite funny. When I correct them, so they know for future reference, they apologize profusely. Nah man, it's totally fine. He's a drama queen anyways.
I find it really funny when people are super apologetic for thinking my fluffy white dog is a girl. Often when I do oh his name is Henry, they feel the need to clarify he is handsome not pretty. It's fine, he is pretty. He also doesn't care what the hell you call him as long as you give him treats.
I'm in the US South and I'm arm and sir pretty much every stranger I come across in the wild. It's just what I've grown up with and is meant as being respectful. We get a lot of tourists and occasionally I'll mom a woman and she'll flip thinking I'm calling her old and if I sir some guy they'll think it's like a sarcastic challenge. On the flip side, any locals whom you don't mom and sir will get offended, so I'm in a pickle every tourist season. Living in constant fear of ma'ams and sirs.
This same situation happened to me when I was traveling through Spain. I called a younger woman the Spanish equivalent of mom and her went off. Had to explain I wasn't from there etc. Now please just tell me where I can find my train gracias.
I was at a small grocery market and I said excuse me miss to a little old cotton top, probably 50 years my senior, whose cart was blocking my path. She went off, in a good way, saying she hadn't been called that in 20 years. I told her my wife had taught me well. It would have been a nice wholesome encounter but then the old bird started following me around the aisles trying to chat me up at every opportunity. Eventually, I abandoned my cart and bolted for the exit. I'll never forget her face as she saw me sneaking out the side door.
I had a similar problem with a German woman. I was serving drinks in the backstage area of a music festival. I refer to the young woman VIP I'm serving, one of the performers, as she, second person, formal pronoun, because, as far as I'm concerned, she is clearly higher status than me in this transaction despite us being about the same age. And she goes off on me because I don't look that old. Of course not, but what level of familiarity are you expecting from volunteer bar staff as one of the stars? I'm surprised to be in the same room with half these people, let alone talking to them as equals.
Hey. You really shouldn't feel unequal just because of that VIP label. As for the relationship between customers and staff, I understand that. But Germans are weird that way, including myself. The first time random students approached me with C, I would feel like, WTF, am I that old? But I'd never hold it against them. As for the festival, artists pride themselves in being informal and alternative, so go with the informal do in any case. If in doubt, ask around. I mean, even IKEA uses do indiscriminately. When people wearing suits or uniforms, it's safe to use C. In any case, your customer was an entitled bitch, you did nothing wrong.
I find that making it feel like a natural part of your speech removes the whole sarcastic element. I was drilled into saying yes ma'am and yes sir by my military dad, and it's still there and I have no desire to remove it from my lexicon, but I always say it more as yes sir and yes ma'am. Quick and reflexive. Less likely to be taken badly if it comes off as a natural part of your speech.
Not from the South, but my parents had me saying ma'am and sir forever, so I still do. The "are you calling me old?" thing from women does happen. But it's not the worst. The absolute worst, by a mile, is something that could possibly have me go full-on blind from rolling my eyes when it happens. Yes, sir. Hey. Don't call me sir. When I was in any military branch, I worked for a living.
Hearing something in a different language.
Seeing people flip out on someone else having a private conversation in another language always confused me. Why are you eavesdropping in the first place?
Usually, it's the insecure people that flip out that think everyone is talking about them. I may unintentionally stare or listen as it's not common to hear another language around here and I find it interesting.
One was speaking in English to my then 8 or 9-year-old cousin. I'm not native English. She is. Another relative complains I'm not speaking in my native language. It would be somewhat reasonable except that same relative speaks a third language, Spanish, all the time. Mixes bow my native language and Spanish. Long story short, people are weird.
So, my family immigrated to the USA from Europe, and we speak Hungarian all the time in public as our default. I have never had someone get upset at us doing so, which is pretty telling to me that people flipping out about different languages in the USA are really just coming from a place of racism. On the other hand, I've had many more people get upset at me in Europe if I didn't speak their language well and had to switch to English at some point, primarily in France.
I've found that the French get huffy if you don't try to speak French, but if you do they'll immediately switch to English and tell you it'll be much easier this way.
This is a huge problem with England right now. In fact, it's so bad, I did hear of a situation a few months ago where a gammon, far-right, racist Englishman in a pub in North Wales who heard this couple talking in a foreign language and walked up to them saying, "Why don't you go the fuck home?" to which they replied, "We are home. This is Wales and we're speaking Welsh. Fuck off back to England, you racist twat."
People seem to get really offended and upset if you simply disagree with them online. Like they're so used to their own echo chamber groups that someone disagreeing with them, even politely, is bad. Recently I saw it in a childcare group. This mother and another user started getting really offended when we were all disagreeing with her about an issue. We were all doing it very politely too. She literally came into this group, asked a question, and then got honest answers which she was offended by.
Way too often people take it personally when the rules apply to them. Example. Some time back my mom was working in a clothing store. A woman comes in and asks to return/exchange some stuff. Cool, no problem. My mom asks to see her receipt, she shows it and she bought the clothing 3 years ago. The return policy was 30 days. My mom was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You bought this too long ago, our policy states yada yada." She flipped. Started yelling, calling her racist. The woman was black, my mom is white, until she asked to speak to the manager. People, please. Almost 100% of the time you are not exempt from any rules, and that is not the fault of the person enforcing the rules. Be reasonable, and please do not blow up on retail workers.
Lol, I currently work at a sex store and I just dealt with something similar lately. A guy comes in, has a vibrator, original box, receipt, packaging, etc. says that it stopped working but his wife liked it, wanted to exchange it for the same one if we had one in stock, or possibly a different one. No problem. I just need to test it to make sure that it's really dead, so he said okay and went to check out our vibe section. I put on my rubber gloves, hit the button, yep, it's dead. I checked the receipt. He bought it 2 years ago. We got a 30-day return period on defective merchandise. So I go and let him know that yeah, it's definitely dead, but our return period is only 30 days. But he lucked out, the company has a 5-year warranty on all their products, and they cover just about everything that can go wrong. So he asks what I would need to do and how soon he'd be able to get his new item. I tell him that I can't do anything, but he'd have to send it to the manufacturer, but they usually same-day ship back a replacement once they get a return sent to them. He then flipped out, saying that our customer service was terrible, he's never shopping there again, insisted that I, as a sales associate, should be the one sending it in. I just wanted to say, dude, your wife, or whatever might have really wanted a new toy for that night, but there's literally nothing I can do for you. Then, rather than just sending it into the manufacturer, he stormed off and told me to just throw it away.
If you give someone a compliment out of the ordinary, most people don't expect kindness and think you are being sarcastic. Sad to see that being nice is not expected by people.
I work retail and I compliment customers all the time. I know some people think it's weird, but I feel like I can't even help it sometimes. If I think their hair is cute, I want them to know. I mostly just stick to fashion choices or hair/nails/makeup so it doesn't come off weird, but I think everyone likes to know their efforts didn't go unnoticed and someone appreciates their style. Smile. I especially like complimenting guys to BC, they just don't get enough of it. BC people are afraid of sounding gay or something.
People who get pissy if you say, no problem when they thank you. Some dude, whom I imagine must have a very fulfilling life, wrote a whole article about how rude it is to say no problem instead of you're welcome.
I was approached by a customer a long time ago while working retail, and I said, "What's up, how can I help you?" And she went off on some loud, nonsensical tirade of my butchery of the English language, and when she concluded her rant, she casually mentions she's an English teacher in HS. Internally I'm sarcastically congratulating her, and just repeat if she needs help with anything. She huffs and complains to my manager, who just politely shines her on. Like, seriously lady? Her rant just made me continue to use my lazy English butchery.
When I say I don't want children, it is my decision to make and people should accept that.
Seriously. I've had people ask if I have or am having kids, and when I say no they looked at me like I farted at their mother's funeral.
Someone gave me a great tip once: if they ask if you have kids, you say no, and they say why, just say you tried and you can't and now it just hurts to try. Most of the time, they'll wish they never asked. Myself, I just say it's a big responsibility and I'm not ready for it. Most people get it. Those who reply if you wait to be ready, you'll never be, you should just have them, you'll pull through. I just say that doesn't sound responsible, that usually shuts them up.
My favorite still is, well, we did have kids, but the dog was allergic and we had to get rid of them. The ones who took it seriously had the best reactions of anybody.
I've had so many people tell me that I'll change my mind. I decided when I was 12 that I didn't want kids. It's been 20 years, and I haven't changed my mind. I can't think of a worse instance to raise a child than when the parent doesn't want them around and just resents them for taking up so much time, energy, and money. Why would anyone think that's a good environment for a kid? And then they'll say but you'll love them when they're here. And like, that's such bullshit. Maybe I would, but the greater chance based on my personality and previous experiences would indicate that I will not enjoy it at all. I'm not bringing life into this world on the maybe. That's not fair to them and it's especially not fair to me. I'll stick to adopting cats to love and nurture. Thanks very much.
Subscribe, and you will become a superhero.